Yesterday, Monday, Donald Trump tweeted out the following in response to the mounting reports of how the U.S. military and Vice President Mike Pence were using the little airport over in Scotland that just happened to be not far down the road from Donald Trump's Turnberry Golf Resort and spending millions of dollars there. Donald Trump tweeted out the following. He said, "I know nothing about an Air Force plane landing at an airport, which I do not own and have nothing to do with, near Turnberry Resort, which I do own, in Scotland, and filling up with fuel with the crew staying overnight at Turnberry. They have good taste. Nothing to do with me," he says in all caps at the end there. Well, I guess that's kind of cut and dry then, right, folks? He doesn't own that little tiny airport, the Prestwick, I believe it is. He doesn't own it. He doesn't have an agreement with them, certainly. No, he says. Actually, he does, though. Yeah. You see, some good investigative reporters got their hands via a FOIA over in Scotland on an agreement between this little Prestwick airport and Donald Trump himself. Donald Trump does, in fact, have an agreement with the airport, and he's had it since he opened up Turnberry. Because again, this little airport is basically the main artery into Turnberry. If you don't fly into this airport, it's a pretty long, multiple hours long drive to get to Donald Trump's golf resort. But the little airport was failing. They were running out of money. They didn't have enough. So Donald Trump comes in and says, "Hey, I'm building this golf course 20 miles down the road. I'll direct a lot of traffic in through your little airport. What you're going to do for me instead is you are going to ferry people, or shuttle people, over to my golf resort. I know it's very far away, much further than any of the other hotels you shuttle people to, but you're going to do it for my golf resort because I'm going to give you lots of business." And the airport said, okay, and they had an agreement according to documents obtained. So he did have an agreement to give them lots of money. Oh, and you know who else actually has an agreement with him now too, for some reason? The U.S. military. The U.S. military does, in fact, have a deal with this tiny little failing airport to stop there and fill up with gas and spend millions of dollars in taxpayer money. They've made more than 250 stops at this little airport just so far this year. Hundreds more in the other 2 years of Donald Trump's presidency, because they do have a deal. This is 100% an impeachable offense. Not only did Donald Trump lie to the American public about it, and I know that's not technically impeachable, the man wouldn't have lasted a day, but this kind of quid pro quo, this is absolutely impeachable. Donald Trump is raking in money, taxpayer money, because of a deal he negotiated shortly before he became president with this tiny little airport. What started off as just a story about Donald Trump, unjustly enriching himself, has turned into a full-blown scandal at this point, folks. The documents are there, and the documents are clear. And we now know that this is a thing that happened, and that Donald Trump was lying through his teeth when he sent out that tweet saying he has nothing to do with it and there is no deal. There is a deal. It's in writing. And Donald Trump is guilty as hell in this particular instance. Thanks for watching, everybody. And don't forget, if you like what you see here, like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. And now you can also become a member of Ring of Fire and get exclusive early access to certain Ring of Fire videos all throughout the week. Just click on the little join button right below the video.